Every year, America remembers the Battle of Pearl Harbor. Americans remember the approximate 2,400 lives lost and the fear which gripped American culture. American culture feared another unexpected attack on U.S. soil. Eventually, this fear caused Americans to associate Japanese Americans with Imperial Japan. In other words, a bias formed toward the Japanese Americans despite their nationality, and discrimination across the country followed. Consequently, in spring of 1942, the United States enforced the relocation of more than 110,000 Japanese American citizens and non-citizens into internment camps. As a further result, the human bias toward Japanese Americans forced Japanese businesses to close down before the relocation, farmers to hold quick sales on their crops, and everyone to be removed from their home. To be clear, not all were against the Japanese Americans. Many believed in doing the right thing and helped them in quiet. But ultimately, a human bias led to the incarceration of fellow Americans. By looking back, it teaches Americans of how a human bias can lead to a grave mistake in human history. Most importantly, it teaches Americans that it is their responsibility to defeat the human bias. Correspondingly, these following interviews will give viewers a more accurate perspective of this situation through the eyes of Japanese Americans who previously lived in the internment camps. Americans hold the responsibility of seeing all sides to a story, so that they may avoid forming the human bias repeatedly.
Between 15 to 20, we had a lot of fun. We played baseball, basketball, football.
Now, I was 15 at the time, having been a Boy Scout, loving the outdoors, and I love to improvise, and so this adjustment to the Assembly Center for me was kind of challenging and kind of intriguing. I wasn't minding it very much.
My folks lost control of the family. They don't have the family life anymore because, back home used to eat at least once in the evening. The whole family got together and ate. But once you got in camp, you lost that. You ate with your friends, or you never ate with your family. Father no longer became a breadwinner, and so in that respect, I think the parents lost control of the children too. It's kind of bad. It was quite a conversion for them.
So there's a lot of things, went on that you appreciate it, yet the older people, it was mad, Well, you can't blame the older one. My family, they didn't bother about it. We come out, after the war, we come back, and, we start farming again.
And my mother, too, I guess. My mother was always she was at home all the time. Of course, she worked in fish cannery. Most of her life, she was a housewife. Now she got to mingle with other people, and so in that respect, I don't know how my mother, I think she felt more liberated to do things that she wanted to do.
Right alongside the building on the north side is kind of a busy street. And before I realized it, someone said, "Hey, George." And I looked up, and here was this car going by, and from the back window was my old friend Evan Sachs. At that moment, that my eyes focused on the fence between us and the barbed wire that was on top of it. And all of a sudden, in an instant, this happy-go-lucky kid kind of sobered up.
Now that Americans see more sides to the whole event, Americans have begun fulfilling their responsibility by forming a more accurate perspective of the event. It is the responsibility of Americans to defeat the human bias by forming an accurate point of view, not a one-sided one.